Good afternoon, everybody. It is now 6:30, and I call to order this meeting of the joint Lincoln County and Sioux Falls Planning Commissions. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. The order of events tonight will be as follows. For each public hearing, staff will introduce the agenda item and present a summary of the staff report. The applicant will then be asked to explain their proposal in further detail and to answer the questions from the Planning Commission members. I will then open the floor to public comment, first for persons in support of the application, then for persons in opposition of the application. When you step up to the podium, please state your name, address, and speak clearly into the microphone. Speakers are encouraged to only address new and relevant information pertaining to the item. Above all, please be cordial to all meeting participants and refrain from side conversations when speaking out of turn, or you'll be asked to leave. Lastly, decisions on rezoning applications will be scheduled for an additional public hearing during upcoming joint county board of commissioners and city council meeting. Decisions on conditional use permit applications can be appealed to the county board of commissioners and city council by submitting a letter to the county planning and zoning office within 5 business days. Oh, you guys get all that? All right.
You could tape that and just hit play.
So, city or Lincoln County, we will do approval of the minutes. Do you guys see any changes or anything that came through? No? If not, I'll ask for a motion.
Motion to approve, Green.
I'll second.
All right, do a roll call. Commissioner Hogan,
Here.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Jungling also a yes. City Sioux Falls?
City Commissioners, we have an approved motion of the county to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Do I have a motion on the city side?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second, Lukey.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Paulson?
Yes.
Commissioner Nesis?
Yes.
Commissioner Nybert?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Yes.
Commissioner Norman?
Yes.
Commissioner Lukey?
Yes.
And Commissioner Johnson's also a yes. Minutes are approved on the city side.
Thank you. Next is approval of the agenda. Any changes to agenda, Mr. Brown?
No changes, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Lincoln County Commissioners, any changes you'd like to make? Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call, please, or a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second the motion.
All right, motion and a second. Any discussion? I will do roll call. Commissioner Hogan,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Jungling is also a yes. City of Sioux Falls?
City Commissioners, we have an approval of the tonight's agenda on the county side. On the city side, can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Motion approved, Lukey.
Second, Norman.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the approval of the agenda? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Paulson?
Yes.
Commissioner Nesis?
Yes.
Commissioner Nybert?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Yes.
Commissioner Norman?
Yes.
Commissioner Lukey?
Yes.
And Commissioner Johnson's also a yes. We're approved on the city side.
Thank you very much. All right, at this time, we will ask for public input on any items not on the agenda. Anybody like to speak on anything that's on their mind? Now's the time to let us know. Seeing none, I'll close the floor to public input. I'm not aware of any unfinished business, Mr. Brown.
No unfinished business, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. We move on to public hearings. Item number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Toby Brown, representing County Planning. The first item before you this evening is a conditional use permit application. The applicant is Jared Langenstein, and the owner is JKJ LLC. And this location, this property is approximately 2,400 feet south of the city of Sioux Falls corporate limits. Parcel size is approximately a little over 3.01 acres in size, As you can see, the property is zoned C commercial. If you recall, this property was rezoned to commercial from A1 agricultural right around 2018, 2019. And if you recall, this property was part of the property to the east of the property, and it was operational as a garage door business. And I believe that that property owner at the time sold the business, and at that time, we essentially codified their use or allowed their use by rezoning it to C commercial. But it's continued to be that use since about, I'm gonna say the mid-90s is when that use started occurring on the property. Subject property is currently improved with approximately 4,000 square foot building that's a office slash what I'll call a garage type structure that's utilized for the service or the garage door business. These are some shots that, again, the property is approximately at the northwest corner of County Highway 106 and then Cliff Avenue. The applicant did submit a concept plan or a site plan with the application. The applicant intends to build a 9,000 square foot building to the north of the property. This building would be utilized for storage or warehousing of the garage door, equipment, materials, and the like. So staff did review this application and did identify that it is a permissible use or a conditional use within the C commercial district as a warehouse type use. Staff did analyze the application as far as the criteria that's required in the zoning ordinance or the joint zoning ordinance. It did identify that the proposed use should have no additional negative factors in the area. Again, this use has been operational on the site since I'm going to say the mid-90s. So staff does, and does in the staff report, identify that this application is consistent with the standards of the joint zoning regulations for Lincoln County and the City of Sioux Falls, and does recommend that the 4 conditions be applied to the application if approved by the board. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have for staff at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Commissioners, any questions for staff?
This is in addition to the structure that's already there?
Correct. It's just an additional
You're
warehouse
behind
type
it.
building, so yeah.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. All right, with that, I will ask the applicant to come forward and speak a little bit more on their application.
Jared Langenstein, 506 Prairie Street in Harrisburg. Yeah, we're submitting this application for a couple different reasons. One, we've kind of just outgrown our current structure. We kind of get some congestion sometimes with semi-trucks, our trailers, stuff like that, coming into our property. So we wanted to make it easier for our team, put a recessed loading dock in there. Just be able to store more garage doors and serve our customers a little better.
Thank you. Lincoln County, any questions for the applicant?
So currently, all your existing garage doors and stuff are all currently already housed on site, or do you have another storage location? Would this increase traffic on and off the property?
No, I won't increase traffic on off the property. We do have another location that we store garage doors because we're at capacity in our current location. So we store doors in another warehouse right up the road from where we're at now. But adding this warehouse to the back is just going to allow us to keep everything in one location, be a little more efficient instead of having to go back and forth. It won't increase any kind of traffic in and out of the property or anything else.
Ultimately, it would maybe even reduce it with having to go back and forth from other places.
Yeah, and actually what it's going to really do is kind of ease the traffic flow in there. So when our semis come in there right now to unload trucks, sometimes like when they're coming from the eastbound, they have to kind of swing into the westbound lane to be able to turn into that property, to be able to swing so far into the parking lot to make a U-turn. With the current site plan that we have set up, they're going to be able to turn around. There won't be any obstructions in the way, and they'll back straight into the loading docks. They're not coming in any kind of oncoming traffic or anything like that, so.
Mr. Chairman, quick question. Under one of the conditions that proposed is reiterating outside storage to be properly behind a fence. I'm looking at one image that looks like some things might be storage. I just want to make sure you're aware of that condition.
Yeah, so right now, we're kind of bound a little bit by our environmental factors, right? When you outgrow a facility, you kind of You have to do with what you have, which is kind of the idea behind the structure. So we can get stuff out of sight, keep things a little neater and cleaner. We don't have anything stored outside or anything like that. Last thing we want to do is be a nuisance in the operations of our business, for sure.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
City Commissioners, any questions? City side.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
All right, at this time, I'll ask anybody in favor of the application come forward and speak. Seeing none, I will ask anybody in opposition of the application come forward and speak. That did surprise me.
He got him.
All right, with that time, we'll close the floor to public comment. And commissioners, how about we have a joint discussion? Any discussion?
With the conditions, I believe it's going to be a good fit for that location.
I would agree with that. I think it's actually gonna help, like you said, with traffic and keeping some stuff off-site so that it looks a little better, and so I'm in favor of this.
All right,
Further comments?
all right, with that, I'll ask a motion from the Lincoln County side.
I'll make a motion to approve with the conditions as they're stated in the document. Great.
I'll second Hogan.
All right, motion is second. Lincoln County, any further discussion? All right, with that, I will do roll call. Commissioner Hogan,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Jungling is also a yes.
City Commissioners, the first conditional use item tonight has been approved on the county side. I'll look for a motion on the city side.
I'll make a motion to approve with the 4 conditions listed.
Second, Lukey.
Got a motion and a second to approve with the 4 conditions as noted in the staff report. Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll call the roll, Commissioner Paulson,
Yes.
Commissioner Neeses,
Yes.
Commissioner Nybert,
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher,
Yes.
Commissioner Norman,
Yes.
Commissioner Lukey.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson's also a yes. Motion passes unanimously on the city side.
Congratulations. Mr. Brown, item number 2.
Thanks, guys. This next item is, or second item is an application for a conditional use permit for an oversized accessory building. The applicant is North Sky Builders LLC, or Inc., and the property owners is Daniel and Zachary Schwentis. Location is approximately 2,700 feet east of the city of Sioux Falls corporate limits. Subject parcel size is 1 acre. This is, as you can see, is property zoned A1 agricultural. This is within a pre-developed subdivision, and at that time, we did not require it to be zoned rural residential, but it's zoned A1 agricultural. Subject property is improved with a single-family dwelling, and the applicant is submitted an application to build an accessory structure on the property. Per the joint zoning regulations, this property is any accessory building above 1,200 square feet is required to apply for and receive a conditional use permit. And so the applicant is proposing to build a 1,440 square foot accessory building on the north side of the single-family dwelling. So staff did review the application and did have some discussions with the applicant, and did review the application in conformance with the regulations and the zoning ordinance. Again, for an accessory type structure, there is no standard type standards, or there's no established standards for criteria for an accessory structure other than accessory structures over the 1,200 square feet are required to get a conditional use permit. Staff did identify that this is an established subdivision, Revillo Estates, and within Revillo Estates, there is existing accessory buildings ranging in the immediate vicinity of approximately 2,400 to 3,500 square feet. So as far as character of the area, there is accessory buildings that are larger than the proposed accessory structure. So staff did identify that this application is consistent with the joint zoning regulations and recommends that if approved, that the 6 conditions that were included in the staff report be adopted with the approval. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have for staff at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Lincoln County, any questions for staff? Seeing none?
City Commissioners, any questions for staff at this time? None on the city side.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. At this time, I'll ask the applicant to come forward and talk a little bit more about their project.
Will Heltzel with North Sky Builders Incorporated, 908 North Oakley, Laverne, Minnesota. A customer of mine approached me about building basically a truck garage for his semis. He's got 2 semis that he uses. He operates actually out of Steen, Minnesota for an actual contractor, but he takes those trucks home and he wants to be able to park them inside. In the shop, we tried to get that 1,200 square foot range. He wouldn't be able to open the hoods to his trucks, so he wanted to go to around that 1440 range with an 18-foot sidewall so he can pull the semis straight in.
All right. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant?
Does the applicant actually live on site?
I don't live on site, no, sir. I'm just the builder. The guy that owns the property, he's driving a truck right now in Wyoming. That's why I'm here to represent him.
Do you know if he actually lives on site on this property?
Yes, he does. He just bought the place not that long ago.
Okay, that's what I was, okay.
Yep.
You said something about an apartment in the building, or did?
No, there's no living quarters in the building, no.
Okay,
They've got a
I
house
heard
on
that
site, no.
Okay.
No, he wants to be able to open hoods and stuff on his semis. That's why it's a little bit larger than what the 1,200 square foot is.
Will there be additional driveway? Or-
He does plan on adding an additional driveway into the property, so he's not having to drive into where his house is. He wants to be able to make an access point from there, but we have to discuss that at a later date, because we also have to, beyond this, we also have to get another approval for application because it is in a flood buffer zone. So I'm working with JSA once we get past this stage to redevelop that, to be able to, so it's not in a flood zone.
Is that road a private road or a county road, township road?
I think it's just a township road. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if it's really private. I haven't actually been on site yet to see it, but
All right. Yeah, I know you'll probably need talk to the township before that driveway can get installed. And
I did talk with people in the office upstairs that we'd have to get that approved before actually doing the new driveway.
I am aware that there is an HOA out there as well, so I would think it would need HOA approval.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, sometimes less is more. Sometimes we know too much. We have to ask a lot of questions. Now, we have to ask at least I have to ask a lot of questions, and you may not be able to answer them. Does he operate his business for his trucking outfit from his home then?
No, sir, nope.
And
Yeah.
where is his address for the trucking business then?
His address for the trucking business is in Steen, Minnesota. He drives for Deutsch Trucking. He's an employee of them.
He doesn't operate, the business is not gonna be operated from this location?
No, sir.
The vehicles aren't, where will the vehicles be licensed out of?
I think they're licensed out of South Dakota, I believe. I'm not exactly sure on how their partnership works.
Are you Danielle? Oh. No. You seem to have a lot of answers. That's why I'm like,
We've ran into a few circumstances over the years, not necessarily in the joint area, where an individual has an acreage in a rural subdivision, and they want to run keep their trucks there. It's a gray area at best. If it becomes a business, then that's operating, because those vehicles are used for commercial purposes.
Yep, exactly.
I would sure like to have the individual that's applying for it give me the answers versus somebody else that's telling me, is this strictly coming in once in a while? Are these trucks in and out every day? It does impact the neighborhood.
He's on the road probably 2 or 3 weeks at a time. I mean, I haven't actually even got to meet the guy because he's gone all the time.
Will he be servicing the vehicles on that site?
He just strictly keeps them on site. All the mechanics and stuff are done in
Will
Steen.
service work there?
Nope. Because there's no plan to put an oil separator or anything like that in the shop. They have a full-time mechanic out in Steen that works on those trucks.
And forgive me, I just have to ask, because it's only fair for the people that are in that development that I do this. Because if he starts turning wrenches, it becomes a business, in my mind. And it's pretty gray even at this point because those are commercial vehicles. So those are my comments at this point. I would have appreciated the individual, I guess, given that this is a little bit of a gray area, to have been here. Thank you.
I was gonna ask Toby if he could answer the question about whether this is residential or commercial.
So I have had discussions with the applicant, and the one thing that I would point out is that we are, and I did discuss this with the applicant, there is a condition number 4 that says there can't be a business operating out of this. That's strictly for storage of personal property.
As currently zoned ag, correct,
Yep.
Toby?
Yeah.
I don't know that a truck commercial vehicle would fall under the guidelines of a just general personal property, though.
It's registered and licensed in his name as commercial plates, but.
Commercial plates.
Yeah. So, I mean, we do have that in other areas. But again, we've discussed it, and it's really, it's just, it's his personal property, he's storing on the property. So, but, and again, we do have the condition there, and I've discussed that with him, that this, can't run a business out of that property. And then, as well as in the joint, which is always a surprise to many of our citizens, is that in the joint zoning area, home occupation is limited to just within the dwelling, which is different than the unincorporated or the rural area, I call it, is that we allow class 1, class 2 major home occupations, which, can be trucking, full trucking operations, truck repair and those kind of things. But specifically in this joint jurisdictional area, anything outside the dwelling is not allowed for a home occupation type use. So we've had discussions with the applicant about that. So I feel a staff recommendation is that I think number 4 is gonna cover the concerns that you have or the neighbors are gonna have with the issue, but I'll leave that up to the boards. so.
And the neighbors were all, notified, so, they had a chance to come in, right?
Correct. We haven't had any communication. We do have a neighbor to the south that's actually gonna be applying for an oversized accessory building too, and I did discuss it with him too, but they said that he's visited with all the neighbors and the neighbors didn't have any issues with it. So I was
Okay.
told, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
I guess one thing I'd like to say to the applicant, just like what Dana said, is that it has place, so that's typically an HOA. And so you want to check the HOA docs just to make sure that that can even happen too. But I know a lot of stuff like trucks, we're talking about trucks being commercial. There's a lot of people that store their AC trucks, their, all kinds of different commercial license plates in their homes in Sioux Falls, so.
Yeah, I would almost want to add as a condition to have HOA approval, just because those HOA dues may pay for, mag oil or gravel or, maintenance to that road. And I think driving the trucks will make a bigger impact on that road than just, trucks and regular size vehicles.
All right, commissioners, any further questions for the applicant? Seeing none, thank you.
I think it,
All right, at this time, I'll ask anybody in favor of the application, please come forward and speak. I will ask anybody in opposition of the application, come forward and speak. That guy left, so he can't do that again. All right, seeing none,
You
I'll
want me to
close
go
it.
sit on the audience first?
You would.
I would.
All right, and this time I'll ask I'll close the floor to public comments, and then as a joint commission, any discussion?
City Commissioners?
I would say, I know Dana said that about HOA approval. The HOA is gonna have to approve it anyway, so I don't think it's gonna have to be a stipulation, just because they're gonna be ones enforcing that.
Personally, we've dealt with the HOA situation, and in the past, it's something I don't think on our side would want to get into, try to interpreting what they're trying to do. It's a civil aspect for them at that point, so.
I would agree. Yeah, HOA sometimes they're formed and not even 100% filed with the state or anything either. Any other discussion?
I still come back to this whole commercial use on there. So the applicant has a Schwantes Transport Company in Sioux Falls that is still registered to his previous house on Brett Street. And I don't know how you can argue that he won't move that to his current residence. Like, that's why I would like him here to have some of that conversation also, like it's.
I agree with that. I'm going to rely on number 4. I have no opposition to the building. I think number 4, it's pretty gray for him to keep a commercial vehicle in that structure. But that's for him to decide what he's going to put into it. The structure itself, I'm okay with. And I do like the fact that we've pointed out that it is not to be for a commercial property, so.
All right. City
Any
of Sioux
further
Falls, any
discussion?
additional comments or,
Good on the city side.
all right?
With that, Mr. Chairman, if you're ready for a motion, I'll offer a motion to approve
Thank you.
with the 6 stipulations.
You're ready to move along, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
I'll second Green.
All right, we have a motion, a second. Any additional conversation, discussion on the Lincoln County side? Here none, I'll do roll call. Commissioner Hogan,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Based on the building alone, Commissioner Jungling's a yes.
Very good. City Commissioners, conditional use item number 2 has been approved on the county side with the 6 stipulations. Do I have a motion on the city side?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion with the 6 conditions. Lukey?
Second, Nices.
Got a motion and a second with the 6 stipulations. Any further discussion?
I guess I forgot to approve a motion for approval
Oh,
with the 6 conditions.
trying to get me in trouble for not catching that. Same second, correct, Commissioner Nieses, very good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Paulson,
Yes.
Commissioner Nieses,
Yes.
Commissioner Nyberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher,
Yes.
Commissioner Norman,
Yes.
Commissioner Lukey,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson's also a yes. Motion is approved on the city side.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. All right, with that, we move on, consideration of new business. Any new business?
Oh, sir.
No?
City side.
No? All right. Mr. Brown, any new business?
None, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you much. With that, I'll ask for a motion on the city county side for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Hogan?
Second Green?
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
City Commissioners, I look for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion to adjourn and it's pretty much unanimous second. They're all in favor, say yes.
Some would say no.
We are adjourned on the city side.
All right. Thank you, everyone.